Good morning and happy Wednesday and happy Valentine's Day. I hope that everybody has a beautiful day, no matter whether you're in a relationship and you're in love, or you're in a relationship and you know you need to leave, or you're single and you're happy, or you're single and you don't want to be single. I hope it's a beautiful day for everyone out there. And just because it's another day, but not just because it's Valentine's Day. Like, I don't really care about Valentine's Day, but just because it's another day that the Lord has made, and I hope that it's good to you guys. I hope it's good for all of us. This lighting is not that good, but it's okay. We're in natural lighting right now. Excuse me. I might have to clear my throat because I don't know what happens. When I eat, it's not cute. It's not a cute moment. I had a really good breakfast burrito though. That was really good. And I got myself a nice mocha latte, which I have been craving. Just coffee. I never used to crave coffee. Although it gives me anxiety, it literally makes my heart pound. Like, I can physically feel my heart beating through my chest once the caffeine sits in, and it's not a fun time. But I don't drink it that often. I feel like I drink it like maybe like once a week. I think on my days off, and maybe I'll get it. I have to like fight my cravings because I really do crave it sometimes, and I don't know why, because I never used to be like this. It's like all of a sudden I'm craving this. It's just mocha lattes. That's it. Like, I want like a chocolatey coffee taste. And I never used to be that person. I used to be like, I used to want an iced coffee, but it not to taste like coffee. So I would just like add a whole bunch of stuff in there. So like, yeah, give me coffee, but I don't want it to taste anything like coffee. That's how I wanted it. And now I'm like, I want a hot mocha latte every single time, or a matcha latte. Still love them. Anyways, that's besides the point. We are in Mark chapter 6 today. Today we are reading from the New King James Bible. I don't have my New Living Translation right now. It's at my house. I forgot to put it back in my car. So we're going OG and doing New King James, okay? I grew up on King James. I think. That's what my friend said. I don't remember school very much. I don't really remember a lot about school. I do remember, well, no, I remember some stuff about school, but I don't remember, like, what Bible we used. I thought we used New King James, but apparently we used King James, which I'm like, that does not sound right. Why would they have us reading King James when King James is harder to read when we're so young? But whatever. I guess we read King James. I don't have my Bible, so... But anyways, now I read New Living Translation or New King James or NIV. I don't discriminate amongst certain Bibles. Certain translations I don't really, what's the word? I don't know, I don't really feel drawn to, so I don't really go to them. But I read a plethora of different translations. So anyways, we're in Mark chapter 6. So let's just get right into it. This is titled, "The People of Nazareth Refused to Believe." And it says, then he went out from there and came to his own country. Sorry, I might get distracted. And his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath had come, he began to teach in the synagogue. And many hearing him were astonished, saying, Where did this man get these things? And what wisdom and what wisdom is this which is given to him, that much mighty works are performed by his hands? Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James? I'm struggling on how to pronounce this name, okay? It's different. I think it's Joseph in the New Living Translation, but here I pronounce it Jose, okay? But I don't think they had Jose's back then. I don't know. Somebody fact check me. I don't think I've ever heard of Jose in the Bible. Hosea, right? Isn't that how his name is pronounced? But not Jose. Nothing wrong with Jose. I'm just saying. I don't think it's pronounced this way. Joses. I want to say Joseph. I don't know. Anyways, Jose, Judas, and Simon. And are not his sisters here with us? So they were offended at him. Or in my New Living Translation says, so they didn't believe. I believe that's what it says. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what it says. But Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor except for his own country, among his own relatives, and in his own house. Now he could do no mighty work there, except that he laid hands on a few sick people and healed them, and he marveled because of their unbelief. Then he went about the villages in a circuit, teaching. And oh wait, this is long. I don't remember it being. Oh, I think because it looks less in my other Bible, because I don't mind it, but it just looks less in my other Bible because it's smaller font. So I just want to go back to the beginning of one thing that I was noting is just how quick the people switched up. Like, at first they're marveling at Jesus and they're astonished by the work that he's doing. They're asking, where did he get this? I'm sorry, I'm getting both translations like mixed up. I don't know what. Hold on. So where did this man get these things? And what wisdom is this which is given to him, that such mighty works are performed by his hands? But they're obviously very impressed by him. They're astonished. They're marveling, at what he's able to do. And then they're just like, but is he not just, the carpenter, the son of Mary? Aren't his brothers James, Jose, Judas, and Simon? ? And are his sisters not here with us? Are not his sisters here with us? Like kind of downplaying who he is. And the way that I can relate that, and then it says, that he marveled at their unbelief and that he was unable to do mighty works there because of their unbelief in him. And the way that I could relate that is like the whole switch up where they go from, okay, like, yes, he's doing these wonderful miraculous works, but isn't he just this person? Isn't he just this? Isn't he just that? He's just like the rest of us. He comes from this hometown, whatever. And I like to make things personal, and it's super easy for us to judge, this is just how I see it. But it's so easy for us to judge other people. It's kind of like, well, you're seeing him literally being able to perform these miracles. You're hearing of this, you're seeing this, like, you're experiencing it. Excuse me, how could you not believe? How could you not just be in complete awe and that's it? I think I would question. I'd be like, I think I would question, like, who is this man? Like, just out of awe and just wonder, like, where did he come from? But then to switch up and kind of like downplay him. So hold on, I want to see what it says. So this is still a Life Application Bible. So I do want to see what it says for verse 3. It says for 2 and 3, Jesus was teaching effectively and wisely, but the people of his hometown saw him only as a carpenter. He's no better than we are. He's just a common laborer, they said. They were they were offended that others could be impressed by Jesus and follow him. They rejected his authority because he was one of their peers. They thought they knew him, but their preconceived notions about who he was made it impossible for them to accept his message. Don't let prejudice blind don't let prejudice blind you to the truth. As you learn more about Jesus, try to see him for who he really is. So I like to make things personal to myself. And it's super easy for us to look at the people in the Bible and to read these things and to judge people. Like, how could you not be in awe? How could you not believe? But I can look back on my own personal life and see how God has worked in my life in miraculous ways and has done so many different things. But then when something else pops up, I'm wondering, how am I going to get through it? How is this situation going to be resolved? It seems like this huge matter, this huge blockage in my life. It can seem so big, the situation, and I forget that my God is even greater. You know what I mean? And it's just very easy, but especially when we're not constantly reminding ourselves of the authority that God truly has, it's easy for us to forget. And I'm just going to say, it's easy for me to forget. Even though it's like, just a second ago, I was in awe of God. I was praising him for the things that he did in my life. I was praising him and like just in literal awe of like, God, how did you do this? How did you see me through this situation? How did you get me out of the situation? How did you heal this person? How did you do that? You know what I mean? And you're in awe of him, and then in the next situation, when something else arises, you're questioning. And I'm gonna say, I'll just speak for myself, I'm questioning now. Not all the time do I question, but I'm honest, like in certain situations, like, yes, they're doing construction over there. It's nerve-wracking, and I get rattled sometimes because I'm looking at the physical. I'm looking at the physical world. I'm not looking at the spiritual. I'm looking at it through a physical lens. So it's not necessarily to this extent where my heart is so hardened. My heart is still open, but I can, kind of relate in a way of just like, how could I not believe? How could I not believe that God's going to do it again? That, just because he did it once, or he got me through a situation once, just means, all right, because that's sometimes how I look at God. I'm like, oh, he's already gotten me through this, so he's gonna throw in the towel. He's not gonna get me through this next thing. Like, God is with us all the time. So, and then also just the fact that to really truly understand how much God values faith and belief, it literally says that he could do no mighty works except to just lay hands on a few sick people, and that's it. It's like Jesus can do literally anything. Sorry, this guy and I made a really weird eye contact. But it's like Jesus can do anything. He could have healed thousands of sick people, but because of their unbelief, he only healed a few, and that was it. And how I interpret that is, it's not that Jesus was unable. It's not like, oh, we have the power, and because we don't believe, it puts him in shackles and he can't do anything. His hands are tied. Like, no, he can do whatever he wants to. But I feel like just with them, like, they already were aware of his abilities. They already were aware of his power. They've probably heard people talking about it. They probably saw it with their own eyes. Clearly they're aware because they're talking about it, but they're still not believing. They've seen it. They have heard it, but they're still not believing. So it's kind of like, why would Jesus waste his time trying to prove to them who he is when they're not going to believe. Jesus knows their hearts. He knows that their hearts are hardened. He knows their minds, and he's like, I'm not going to do these works here for these people because it's not going to change their minds. They are settled in their ways. So I love that Jesus still did perform miracles there. But he could have done so much more if they would have believed. If they're even if they would have just had this little bit of curiosity, you know, a little inkling of faith, he could have done so much more than just a few sick people. So it just reminds me to open my own heart up, or allow God to help me to open up my heart and open up my eyes, so that I will be able to receive what he wants to give me, whether it's healing or it's strength or it's encouragement, whatever, and that I can learn the lessons that I'm supposed to learn. So hold on, let me just make sure. I have a doctor. I have 2 appointments. I got my K-Love on. Wait, why is my... Okay, there we go. I was like, why is my screen not turning on? I have 2 doctor's appointments today, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing good on my time. But we get it. Okay, I have about a half hour. We're good. Okay. So yeah, so next we're gonna go on to verse 7. And it's titled Jesus Sends Out the 12 Disciples. But I just want to, encourage others, like, be open, be open. Don't be so closed off to God. Don't be so closed off to what he is able to do in your life, because I feel like your willingness to be open is kind of like, it's just that open door for him to be like, okay, now I can actually do things in your life. Now I can actually work the way that I want to work. But when you're closed off, and also when you're closed off, it's like you're not able to see different things, like God, even if God is doing something in your life, but because you're closed off, you're not able to see as clearly the things that he's doing in your life, because you're seeing what you want to see. So yeah, verse 7. And he called the 12 to himself, and he began to send them out 2 by 2. And he gave them power over unclean spirits. He commanded them to take nothing for the journey except a staff, no bag, no bread, no copper, and their money belts, but to wear sandals and not to put on 2 tunics. Also, he said to them, in whatever place you enter a house, stay there until until you depart from that place. And whoever will not receive you nor hear you when you depart from there, shake off the dust under your feet as a testimony against them. Assuredly, I say to you, it will be tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in that day. It will be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in that day of judgment than for that city. So they went out and preached that people would repent, and cast out many demons, and anointed with oil many who were sick, and healed them. And I just think it's so beautiful that, first of all, that this is like, hold on, I would like to be fact checked. Is this the first time that Jesus gave them his spirit to be able to do these things? I'm reading in Mark. Hold on. I think so, unless I'm tripping. I would have to go back and look. But yeah. I also like that, like, he sent them out into 2. And it just reminds me of the verse in Ecclesiastes, like, you know, where it's like two are better than one. I like that he sent them out into pairs instead of like, all right, guys, fend for yourselves, you know? But I just think it's amazing, like, what they were able to do through his spirit. Because in their own strength, they wouldn't have been able to heal. In their own strength, they wouldn't have been able to cast out demons. You know, it's like, whatever. You could do whatever. You could try and do whatever, but doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. But I love that, you know, it says that he gave them the power over unclean spirits. It was his authority that was given to them, you know. It's just really cool. So now we are on Herod kills John the Baptist. 14, verse 14, which is, I love reading the book of Acts, because just to hear and just to read about what the disciples were able to do, it's insane. It's, to me, the book of Acts is like, it's so action packed. I love it. I love it. I want to read it again, and I can't wait to read it again, but it's so good. So we're on verse 14. It says, now King Herod heard of him. Herod kills John the Baptist. Ow. Oh my gosh. Ow. Now King Herod heard of him, which is Jesus, because the H is capitalized, for his name had become well known. And he said, John the Baptist is risen from the dead, and therefore the powers are at work in him. Oh my gosh. I just got a flashback. Okay. Others said, it is Elijah. And others said, it is the prophet. It is the prophet, or the one, I can't read, or like one of the prophets. But when Herod heard, he said, this is John, whom I beheaded. He has been raised from the dead. For Herod himself had sent and laid hold of John, and bound him in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For he had married her. Because John had said to Herod, it is not lawful for you to have your brother's wife. Therefore Herodias held it against him and wanted to kill him. But she could not, for Herod feared John, knowing that he was a just and holy man, and he protected him. And when he heard him, he did many things, and heard him gladly. Then an opportune day came when Herod on his birthday. Oh, I'm having a hard time. Okay. Herod on his birthday gave a feast for his nobles, the high officers, the chief of men of Galilee. And when Herodias' daughter herself came in and danced and pleased Herod and those who sat with him, the king said to the girl, ask me whatever you want and I will give it to you. He also swore to her, whatever you ask, I will give you up to half my kingdom. So she went out and said to her mother, what shall I ask? This is so dirty. And she said, the head of John the Baptist. Immediately she came in with haste to the king and asked, saying, I want you to give me at once the head of John the Baptist on a platter. And the king was exceedingly sorry, yet because of the oaths and because of those who sat with him, he did not want to refuse her. Immediately the king sent an executor and commanded his head to be brought. And he went and beheaded him in prison, brought his head on a platter, and gave it to the girl, and the girl gave it to her mother. When the disciples heard of this, they came and took away his corpse and laid it in a tomb, which is so sad. First of all, that mother is so dirty, because that wasn't even her wish to be granted. It was her daughter's wish. Honestly, this kind of tastes like hot chocolate a little bit. It's good though. Anyways, yeah, it's like that was for your daughter. I mean, I guess it was kind of her daughter's fault because she didn't have to go and ask her mom, what should I ask? She could just ask her something, but I mean, she's a kid. I mean, I don't know how old she was, but you know, she's younger than her mom, obviously. So obviously she's gonna like look up to her parents. And so first of all, very selfish. Second of all, they obviously killed a very innocent man because John was just telling her, or saying what she didn't want to hear. And yeah, it's just a sad moment because he literally did absolutely nothing wrong. So we're moving to Jesus feeds the 5,000. And we're on verse 30. Then the apostles gathered to Jesus and told him all things. But when they had done, but what they had done and what they had taught. No. I need help. Both. So they basically told Jesus what they were doing and what they had taught, what they did and what they taught. There we go. And he said to them, "Come aside by yourselves to a deserted place and rest for a while." For there were many people coming and going, and they did not even have time to eat. So they departed to a deserted place in the boat by themselves. But the multitudes saw them departing, and many knew him and ran there on foot from all cities. They arrived before them and came together to him. And Jesus, when he came out, saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion. I love whenever it says that in the Bible, when it says Jesus moved with compassion, he did this, or Jesus, yeah, I love that. I just, when it says he was moved with compassion, I love it so much. But moved with compassion for them because they were like sheep not having a shepherd. So he began to teach them many things. When the day was now far spent, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and already the hour is late. Send them away, that they may go into their surrounding country and villages, and buy themselves bread, for they have nothing to eat." But he answered and said to them, "You give them something to eat." And they said to him, "Shall we go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give them something to eat?" And he said, "How many loaves do we have here? Go and see." And when they found out, they had 5 loaves and 2 fish. Then he commanded them to take them all to sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in ranks, in hundreds and in 50s. And when he had taken the 5 loaves and 2 fish, he looked up to heaven, blessed and broke the loaves, and gave them to his disciples to set before them. And the 2 fish he divided among them all. So they all ate and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of fragments and fish. Now those who had eaten the loaves were about 5,000 men. This, first of all, like I said, I love when I see Jesus moved with compassion. I also love what it says, because they were like sheep not having a shepherd. And I also love that Jesus had the opportunity to just like send them away. The disciples were like, all right, we don't have the means to feed them. Send them away so that they can get their own food. And Jesus is like, no, they're here right now. I'm going to provide for them. I'm going to provide for them where they are at. Jesus, you can clearly see that Jesus cared. That Jesus cared about them. You know, if he didn't care, if he didn't care, then he wouldn't have compassion. And if he didn't have compassion, then he wouldn't have, you know, stayed with them and taught them and spent time with them. I mean, literally, they spent, from what I can tell, they spent hours. It had become late by that time. And so obviously he cares. And this is exactly the reason why I'm reading in Mark again, because I love reading about, you know, Jesus's life here, because it's really important to remind myself that if Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, then he's the same in this exact moment, and he's the same in my life. And if he cares about these people and he loves these people, he's willing to be their shepherd. He's willing to spend time with them. He's willing, like, this is exactly what he wants. You know, he's not just doing it because he's like, oh, like, I guess. He's not doing it out of, like, he doesn't feel obligated. Like, this is exactly, you know, he's not moved with obligation. He's moved with compassion. So, and love, you know, and if this is how he acts, this is how he acted then he acts the same now. And it's super important for me to remind myself, because I feel like I can get lost, and I've said this before, where I can project man's character, I can project other people's character onto God's character, and I look at God a certain way because I'm like I'm not thinking clearly on his character. I don't have his character, like the way that his character is in my mind does not align with his true character. So then that ends up putting a wrench, or I don't know what other word would I use. Like, it just ends up tainting my relationship with him. It doesn't go to its full potential because I don't have the correct view on who God really is sometimes. So then it makes me scared to approach him. It makes me scared to even ask things. It makes me scared, you know, then it's like sometimes I can get in, well, not as of recently. I mean, I feel like I'm the closest to God right now than I have ever been, but I'm just talking about my past. And that my past isn't, like, I'm talking about like the last couple months, you know. God has really been working. Well, honestly, I would say the last year, but definitely within the last months of last year, and then this year, 100% has really been transforming my life and my mind and my heart. But, you know, when I was in those moments of, and I still am developing, you know, and trying to help, having a clear view on God. But what I'm trying to say is, like, back then, it was very distorted. And hearing this reminds me of, like, if this is how he is with these people, then he's the same with me, and he's the same with you. And it just really I don't know, the reminder is always helpful to me. So yeah, I think it's a very beautiful picture of who Jesus is, because he didn't have to do this. You know, he didn't have to spend time with these people. He could have been like, all right, there's more people around the world. I have only so much time here, which he did, you know. And he could have just kept it moving. All right, fend for yourselves. Go find food for yourselves. No, but he provided for them. He spent time with them. And I think it's very beautiful. So this is Jesus walks on water. This is verse 45. Immediately he made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, to Bethsaida, which I think there's a place in Israel that's Bethesda, and I think it's Bethsaida. I really want to go to Israel, but I'm not sure anymore. But that was my goal and my dream, because I was like, why didn't anybody bring this up, just period. Like, I don't know. I never even thought of Israel for some reason. And then I saw back like well, no, probably 4 years ago, 3 years ago now, that there were trips out to Israel. And I was like, wait, what? And I'm like, it didn't even occur to me. Like, there's a place on earth that Jesus walked, and we can go there. Like, why would you not want to go? I think every believer should, like, experience that. I don't know. And so it's always been my dream to go to Israel. Not always, but ever since then, it's been my dream to go to Israel. But I think there were two places, like Bethsaida. I think Bethsaida, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Bethsaida and Bethesda. And I remember I was like, Mom, why didn't you name me Bethesda? Why didn't you name me, or like Bethsaida? That's like a cooler name. But I love my name. I love my name, and because it's still in, it's, first of all, it's in the Bible, and I don't know, it's beautiful. And I think it means more to me because I believe my mom was the one that named me and that picked the name. I think my dad wanted to name me like Michelle or something. Not that Michelle's not a pretty name. I'm appreciative of it being, like, I'm appreciative of my name now even more because my mom named me and I was so close with my mom. So it just means so much more. And I wish I could tell my mom that now, because at the time I was like, why didn't you name me Bethesda or like Bethsaida? That's more of an exotic name. But now I'm like, I'm so appreciative of my name. I think it's beautiful. Anyways, so to Bethsaida, and it's probably not even pronounced that way, but I say Bethsaida. While he sent the multitude away, and when he had sent them away, he departed to the mountain to pray. Now, when evening came, the boat was in the middle of the sea, and he was alone on the land. When he saw them straining and rowing, for the wind was against them. Now about the fourth. Hold on, I gotta use my finger. I'm having a hard time. Now about the fourth watch of the night, he came to them, walking on the sea, and would have passed them by. I wonder how fast he was walking. Like, and when they saw him walking on the sea, they supposed it was a ghost and cried out. But they all saw him and were troubled. But immediately he talked with them and said to them, "Be of good cheer, it is I, do not be afraid." I love that he did it immediately. He didn't try to like mess with them. Like, because had that been me, I would have let it play out a little bit longer, and then I would have been like, it's fine, it's me, y'all, you're good, but I would have let it play out a little bit longer. But immediately he talked with them and said, "Be of good cheer, it is I, do not be afraid." Then he went up into the boat to them, and the wind ceased, and they were greatly amazed in themselves beyond measure, and marveled, for they had not understood about the they're still on the loaves, for they had not understood about the loaves, because their hearts were hardened. Like, the loaves are old news, guys. We're on to something new. He's walking on water, okay? Like, come on, let's get it together a little bit. But I love that Jesus immediately comforted them. Jesus was like, "It's me. It is me. Be of good cheer. It is I. Do not be afraid." Or do not. Oh, sorry. Okay. Do not let your heart be troubled. And he went up into the boat to them, and the wind ceased. Yeah, I would have had fun with that. I would have had some fun. But Jesus. I love that though. Because in reality, I mean, God could have fun with us. I'm happy he doesn't. I mean, God, okay, I do believe that God has a sense of humor 100%, but like, it's not out of like maliciousness. And me, it wouldn't be out of maliciousness. It would just be like, it's a little joke, you know? Hee hee ha, you know? We'll get over it. We'll get through it. But, anyways. So, okay, hold on. Then he went up into the boat with them, and the wind ceased. And there was a calm and there was a peace. Is this? This isn't the one where... No. No, it's not the one. That's a different one. Okay. Okay, so now we are on verse 53. This is Jesus heals all who touch him. Let me just see if there's any insight, anything. Let's see. Where was that verse? 50, 40. Or wait, where's 50? Okay, so we're gonna read. Okay, so we'll read the insight on 49 and 50. Let's see. Or we'll do 40. Okay, so the disciples were surprised to see Jesus walking beside them on the water, but they should have realized that Jesus would help them when they were in trouble. Though they had lost sight of Jesus, he had not lost sight of them. That's beautiful. His concern for them overcame their lack of faith. That's gonna make me cry. The next time you are in deep water, remember that Christ knows your struggle and cares for you. That's beautiful. This is why I love the, what is this, Life Application Bible, because it has like the insight at the bottom. So now we're going to verse 53, but it's very true, because, and it's so cool that like when he was like, then he saw them straining at rowing, for the wind was against them. Now about the fourth watch of the night he came to them, walking on the sea. So it doesn't matter. He doesn't need to find a way. He's in complete control and sees everything. But it doesn't matter what you're going through. He will be there. He will walk across the water. He will do whatever. He will part the sea. You know, he will do what it takes to get you through. So verse 53. When they had crossed over, they came to the land of, hold on, sound it out. Wait. Gennesaret, or Gennesaret. Yep. And anchored there. And when they came out of the boat, immediately the people recognized him, ran through that whole surrounding region, and began to carry about on beds. Those who were sick to wherever they heard he was. Wherever he entered, into villages, cities, or the country, they laid the sick, I'm having a hard time, in the marketplaces, and begged him that they might touch the hem of his garment, and as many as touched him were healed. Could you imagine this? I can't even imagine. First of all, I can't imagine Jesus physically being here, but then just imagine you're sick, you're dealing with these many issues for God knows how long, and all you have to do is touch just their clothing. That's it. Just his clothing. That's it. And you are healed. That's it. You don't need, he doesn't even need to pray over you. He doesn't need to perform this eccentric act and then you're healed. It's literally a simple act of reaching out and touching him. And also, I would assume, believing that he can heal you, because why would you reach out if, like, you don't believe? Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's just craziness. Because, I mean, it's not like, because I believe in this, it's not really craziness. It's just crazy to think about. It's crazy to think, like, to actually witness this with your own eyes. And not just read about it, not just hear about it, but to physically, like now we can experience it like spiritually, but like at this time there was a physical person, like like these people were physically seeing Jesus. I don't know. It's just amazing to think about, to read about, and to me gives me hope. So that concludes chapter 6. Next time we will be on chapter 7, which is a really good chapter, so I'm excited about that. And then we'll be on chapter 8, which I haven't read yet. So Jesus feeds the 4,000. Religious leaders ask for a sign. He warns about wrong teaching, restores the blind man. We got some good stuff. I mean, it's all good, but I'm just excited. So, yeah. Here we go. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Oh, now I'm tired all of a sudden. But I think it's just in time. So, yeah, that's it. That concludes chapter 6. And until next time, I hope that everybody has a beautiful day.